1 month into the new government, and there's a lot of activity happening here in Karnataka. And the most important part of this is that the rains are upon us here in Bangalore. And, with the rains come a whole heap of problems. And residents of Bangalore are especially concerned about, flooding of roads and mosquitoes, the dirt and the unhygienic disposal of waste. So all of this are things that residents of Bangalore are really concerned about. And I have with me one such resident, and he's a very vocal person. He really loves to ask questions to the government. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep Anirudhan, for joining us. Now, you have some very strong views about citizen participation in governance. So, would you like to tell us what you expect from this government now that they're just 1 month old? What do you expect from them? And what have they delivered in your view? And what do they need to deliver?
See, it goes back to our constitution. The very idea of our democracy is that our citizens have a say. In fact, I would say it predates the constitution. Gandhiji's idea of Swaraj was a sort of governance where citizens have control over their immediate resources, and which is pretty much what he articulated in his idea of Hind Swaraj and Gram Swaraj and all other views that he had. Uh, in our constitution, it's also articulated in the 74th Amendment. If you see, public consultation, citizen engagement, grassroots democracy are enshrined in both 73rd and 74th Amendment, where structures and institutions are to be established for, say, village panchayat, ward committees. And in Karnataka, you have a unique element. The local legislations, like the Karnataka, uh, I don't remember the exact act, but there is also the necessity to set up, along with ward committees, there is also a legislation for area sabhas. So this is one level below the ward committees, while the 74th Amendment is a national legislation which only calls for up to ward committees. The state legislation calls also for a area sabhas at poll levels, which means
Are
every
these
ward will
area
have
surveys
multiple.
actually functioning?
No, the area sabhas have not yet been formed. Ward committees, due to judicial intervention, because the Karnataka High Court directed the government to set up ward committees, they have been formed and they function for a few months, then they go dead, then again they function. It keeps changing with the interest of each administration. So but wherever there is, what we notice is once these ward committees have got functioning, uh, then the citizens tend to get take ownership. So whenever the BBMP goes slow on ward committee meetings, citizens pile on a lot of pressure and they get them to function again. And some wards, citizens are very active. There you will find that ward committee meetings happen fairly regularly and also very effectively. Where citizens are not that hands-on, then of course the institution goes weak.
So a
So
lot really depends on the citizen as well, right? It's not just on the
true,
authorities. That's what you're saying.
true, true,
Now,
true.
as a Bangalorean, it started. I mean, the monsoon is here. What are you most worried about?
But it's no more a worry as such, as much as like it's a given that due to civic apathy, there is bound to be a lot of rain-related problems. There will be flooding. There will be drainage issues, and most, in fact, what we really regret is that most of our water just flows away to Tamil Nadu now because our soil is not permeable. Our Rajakala network is destroyed, and which is why the flooding happens in the first place. And most of our top surface is concretized, so it rushes off into the lakes, and then through the larger Rajakalways, they just flow away to Tamil Nadu. the amount of water that uh, rains in Bengaluru is equivalent to the amount of water we pump from Kaveri. So if you took a logical approach to how water should be managed, then the Kaveri pipeline project is totally ill-advised, because that much water was there in Bangalore always, and we had about 2,000 lakes that used to sequester this water, hold it locally, put it into the ground, and even our topsoil was good till about 40, 50 years back, and the Rajakalways were there, and a lot of buffer zones, floodplains, and vegetation was there. So the soil would, I mean, the water would percolate into the soil, and we had underwater reservoirs in the shallow aquifers, which used to hold this water, and people would reuse this water using shallow wells. This
Right.
was our sustainable recycling economy of water, and the unfortunately modern government and modern engineering has given us bad solutions. What we did was we chose to build a pipeline to pump water from Kaveri all the way here on a gradient which is so steep, because we are about 1,000 meters above sea level. There's
Yes.
so much waste of energy. There's so much of wastage of water as well. Most people are not aware that 50% of that water is leakage. It gets wasted on in transit. And the biggest tragedy of this is that after getting that pipeline, we laid waste to all our lakes, Rajakal ways, and our local water system. So the real damage that was done by this unscientific way of planning is that the city has lost its local water resilience. And in these days of climate change, and a lot of people call it the climate emergency, this is going to be the biggest problem. More and more, our local water security is going to matter, because many places will not have water, and there might be wars, and people of Mysore might not let us use the water that we get from Kaveri soon. It might not be a war with
Right.
Tamil
No,
Nadu
no.
anymore. It will be a
Yeah,
war with our neighboring district.
neighboring district.
It
Well, I
happened
hope that doesn't
last
happen. But
year, in
no,
fact.
my question to you, Mr. Anirudhan, is now the new government. You have the deputy chief minister, you have the chief minister. They are calling for citizen participation. They're calling for people to come and speak. Now, how do you see that? I mean, are you attending any of these? Are you aware of them in the first place? How does a citizen participate in this case?
No, the only instance of them asking for a citizen participation was they've put out a survey on a portal called Brand Bengaluru, which more or less looked like a knee-jerk reaction to all the criticism they received, because they were hobnobbing only with the elite, and they were taking such outlandish, ridiculous suggestions from them, and then they are taking it seriously. I mean, the suggestions those elite made were
Can you
totally
give me
out
an
of.
example? Can you give me an
I mean, they're
example?
talking of underground roads, elevated corridors, steel bridges, flyover. I mean, this is the nonsense that they keep blurting out again and again. All these specialists run them down. Specialists reject these proposals. Citizens have rejected these proposals. I don't understand where these politicians reside before they get elected. I mean, when the BJP made these proposals, they were shot down. So they were in opposition, they were aware of it. So once they come to power, why do they take those suggestions? It doesn't make any sense. The worst thing is the very same brokers. I mean, they call themselves consultants and specialists, but they're brokers basically. There is a nexus. There's a contractor, broker, politician nexus. They are the ones who actually bring all these projects. Now, if you notice, it's those very same brokers who were part of this meeting who advised the BJP government in the last term, and then the previous government before that. So there is a strong nexus, and they are uh, deep into the system, the political ecosystem, and they are the ones who come up with these stupid schemes. But the biggest worry is not that they did something like this. I mean, took their advice. It's not that. The biggest worry is there is a constitutional framework for how a city's, say, transport infrastructure should be planned. It has to be done under a master planning exercise. The master planning exercise has to be directed by a metropolitan planning committee. This is
I
part of the
believe there is no
constitution.
master plan for
Beg your
Bangalore.
pardon?
I believe there is no master plan for Bangalore.
Huh. So we are probably the only metropolis in the world that doesn't have a master plan, and it shows. We are the only messed up metropolis as well. So, uh, and this is enshrined in the 74th Amendment of the Constitution, which was legislated 30 years ago. So, 3 precious decades were lost when our politicians refused to abide by the Constitution. Now, you see where the rot lies. The rot lies uh, with lawlessness at the top. Now, we keep punishing petty offenders, thieves, rapists, and murderers who cause harm to maybe one or two people, right? When these politicians who get elected, when these state governments, when they violate the constitution, it affects the entire city. So you are affecting 1.5 crore people, and there's no punishment for them. This is so ridiculous. I mean, if you violate the constitution, there has to be some sort of penalty for that. Every chief minister who's ruled for the last 30 years should be held liable, and some stricture has to be passed on them. Otherwise, this is what happens: an entire city goes into decline. It rots. It's completely messed up. It's congested. It's polluted. Its environment is degraded, and that none less than the Supreme Court of India. I mean, Supreme Court of India called us a ruined city. In fact, the Supreme Court sent a missive to all the other state governments telling them, don't make a Bengaluru of your cities. It's told them, take precautions to prevent the kind of environmental degradation that happened in Bengaluru. This just happened a few months ago.
But
And
tell me something. You
yeah,
said you were expecting flooding to happen, drainage issues to happen. Now, aren't we, in a sense, that is civic apathy again, isn't it? Like when the residents of a city, like you or me, we sort of get lulled into this thing that, it's going to happen anyway. So why should I try? Nothing's going to work. So, in a sense, that's fatigue, or I don't know what you want to call it. But how do you come to that?
well, the problem is our city's administration is so corroded by the corruption and inaction. You see, they just don't respond or react to anything. There'll be multiple court strictures, orders asking them to clear Rajakalways, and they'll clear hardly any Rajakalways. They'll wait till the people who have encouraged it go and get stay orders from some other court, and then the whole thing gets stuck. At the same time, you see illegal construction in Bengaluru it's completely rampant. Right now, last week, there a lot of illegal construction demolitions were stayed. So this is a cycle that perpetuates itself. Everybody knows what the problem is. Everybody knows what the solution is. There is some sort of collusion between the government and the perpetrators to somehow avoid getting correction. And so what we need are deep fixes. We need fixes for how this administration works so irresponsibly. We need fixes for the corruption that is almost pervasive. It's everywhere. So until all this is cleaned up, the casualty is constitutionality. Our governments don't follow the constitution right from the top. At the chief minister level or at the Bengaluru development minister level, they're least bothered about what the law says. Now, you asked me about public consultation. Public consultation, not just consultation. The 74th Amendment prescribes public engagement. The Metropolitan Planning Committee is supposed to be consisting of elected representatives. And ward level plans are to be created by the ward citizens, not by the government or by just planners. So that is the level of citizen engagement that it prescribes. Ward level plans have to be formed in active consultation with citizens. Then the master plan needs wide-ranging public consultation with transparency, and action has to be taken on them. But we are not receiving any kind of public consultation or public engagement on these. What the government does is it puts some 7 questions on a website and calls it public consultation. These are superfluous, superficial questions. These are like, kindergarten questions. Well, how do you want the city to be? How should it look? How should like this is not public consultation. This is just a deflection because they just want to misdirect. They just want to deflect from the criticism they received that they were only engaging elite. So they just want to say, we did ask the public. So this is not serious public engagement. even in if they're serious about public engagement, they should ensure that the ward committees are working. Where are they? I mean, after the election, ward committees are still not happening everywhere. They are supposed to ensure the elections take place. We need to have a municipal council functioning, and they have to do a lot of correction to the BBMP Act, which has a lot of mistakes. It is not in line with 74th Amendment. It has intervention from state level politicians. The in its right form, the city municipality has to be devolved. It has to be autonomous from the state government. So many fixes needed.
Okay. You haven't answered my question. What do you do about citizen fatigue when you look out and you think, okay, it's going to flood anyway, so why should I bother?
So see, I kind of said that I might have misused the word. We are not worried. Rather, we are resigned. No, we are worried. Yes, and we do act. Most of us active citizens have been warning. In fact, throughout summer, we ran campaigns asking the city to be ready for monsoons. So one thing is, well, citizens have to be motivated because at the end of the day, who owns the government? It is the citizens who own the government. All said and done, public representatives elected and appointed are public servants. They are here to serve us, and we technically are their bosses. So if we go missing, then things will only get worse. So we have to fulfill our duty to keep demanding, to keep directing attention to what is necessary. Yes, we fulfill those duties, and we hope more and more citizens are active, because that is what builds active pressure on the government. A few of us asking builds so much pressure. Imagine if everybody were on their toes, it will completely transform the governance landscape. In fact, our constitution has a list of duties which are called the, just as we have rights, right? Our basic rights, there are also basic duties, and one among them is that the citizens have to actively protect our environment, our resources, and everything. And so I feel the word activist is a misnomer, because as per the constitution, every citizen is supposed to do that. So if thereby, by that argument, any citizen who is not an activist is not a citizen. So if you are a citizen, you have to be active. You can't just be a consumer. Every citizen has to provide oversight over governance. Otherwise, we will get poor governance, and thereby, if governance is poor, it's because we citizens are not fulfilling our duty as well, to provide oversight and demand results.
All right. Now, my final question to you, because this is a discussion that could go on forever, but we have to end it somewhere. My final question to you, Mr. Anirudhan, is if I, as a citizen, wanted to participate in this actively, where do I go? Is there an organization? How do I reach out?
Actively in what? I haven't understood.
In terms of actively participate in these it could, I mean, if ward committees are there, then great, then I can go and speak, I can be a part of it. But if not, are there any other efforts, are there any other groups that are there that can sort of
Oh,
act as a sort
Bengaluru.
of a pressure group, right, for the government?
No, Bengaluru has plenty of pressure groups, because you see, these they say necessity is the mother of invention. The worse a city breaks down, there'll be more activism in that city. And Bengaluru has one of the highest amount of citizen activism. That shows how badly broken it is. So there are lots. I actively run about 8 communities in Bangalore, out of which at least 2 relate to city governance. One is in Whitefield, called Nama Whitefield. So if you're residents of Whitefield, you can collaborate or follow us. Across the city, we run one called Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru. We run on citywide issues. About 30,000 citizens are part of all our citizen outreach handles on social media. So we keep running campaigns on these issues. A lot of these are collaborative. A lot of these are campaigns. And the city has many more. I mean, the city has, I think, about 20, 30 at least active citizen groups. Even simple Googling will find you all those groups. A lot of these also collaborate. In fact, there is one coming up. We've recently about 30 to 40 organizations, which are civic groups, civic action groups, have come together, and we found one called Civic Society Forum. So this is like a common platform of various communities. That might be something worth googling, and uh, we are planning to submit a wish list for the city, terming it the citizens manifesto for Bengaluru, and we'll be doing that in the coming days. We'll be
Great,
presenting it
that's
to the
fantastic.
Bengaluru Development Minister, and this manifesto has come about through deliberations between all these partners, various civic groups and citizens, and therefore we hope it will represent the uh, wishes of all the citizens of Bengaluru. I mean, who live in Bengaluru. Let's hope that contributes to the government's planning, and we hope the government pays attention to it. We will be happy if they do. Yeah, so Bangalore has a huge amount of there is enough spaces. You can go and join any of these. There are lots of them. But all said and done, our efforts, in fact, most of these communities and civic groups share this one objective, that we don't want this kind of engagement and activism to last. We want this to end. And how will that happen? When constitutional platforms, which are prescribed, take place, like the ward committees, the ward planning committees, the city municipality, for extent, the elected municipality, and we have a good mayoral form of city government. And when the metropolitan planning committee, if all of these take shape as they are prescribed, then citizens can directly engage with governance, and there would be no need for all these platforms or pressure groups and all that,
Right.
unless of course those go wrong. But at least the government should fulfill its primary duty of carrying out what the constitution has prescribed. After all,
Absolutely.
the government is here to carry out, implement the constitution and implement the rule of law. If both of these are missing, and that's the problem with Bengaluru, both are missing. They are avoiding the constitution, and there's breakdown of law and order here. Like there is complete lawlessness in the way BBMP works. They don't implement bylaws. They don't implement, and that's why the city is messed up. We have illegal construction, the encroachment all over the place, and they don't implement rule of law. Then who's supposed to enforce laws? The government doesn't. So
Absolutely.
this is where constitutionality has to come topmost. A democracy will only survive if it follows constitutionality and if it follows the rule of law. If these two things are broken, then people lose faith in democracy.
Absolutely.
And that's not
It's spot
something we
on.
want to risk. Our
But
efforts are, we go constitutional.
I think you sort of summed it up for us in any case. It's all about a functional democracy has to follow the constitution and the rule of law. And I think absolutely true what you said. And also very heartening to know that a lot of pressure groups and active citizens are collaborating and presenting a citizens manifesto. We'll be watching out for that. And we hope to have you back next time to talk about the Citizens Manifesto and what
No, thank you.
is there in it. Thank you very much, Mr. Anirudhan. It was a pleasure
Thank you,
speaking to you.
Sandhya. Thanks for having me.